Have you ever stood where emperors once ruled, where gladiators battled for glory, and the fate of nations was decided? Welcome to the saga of the Roman Empire, an epic tale of power, betrayal, and innovation that shaped our world. In this journey through time, we unveil the grandeur of the Roman Empire, from its mythical beginnings to its monumental collapse, a civilization that rose from a single city to command the known world, leaving behind a legacy that endures to this day. Our story unfolds over a millennium, starting in 27 BC, when the Roman Republic fell, giving rise to an empire that would last until AD 476 in the West. But the tale doesn't end there. The Eastern Empire, with its heart in Constantinople, continued to thrive until its fall in AD 1453. Join us as we explore the hidden corridors of history, uncovering lesser-known facts and pivotal events. Discover how the Romans built an empire that lasted for centuries, and why, even in its ruins, it continues to fascinate us. So, if you're ready to step into the past and witness history like never before, stay with us until the end. And don't forget to subscribe to Historical Guru for more captivating tales from history. The past is waiting. Are you ready? Before we delve into the grandeur of the Roman Empire, let's trace its roots back to a tale shrouded in myth and legend. The story begins with two brothers, Romulus and Remus, who were said to be the sons of the war god Mars and the priestess Rhea Silvia. Their adventure starts with a prophecy, a usurped throne, and an act of defiance that led them to the banks of the Tiber River. It was here, according to legend, that a she-wolf, a creature sacred to Mars, nurtured the abandoned twins. As they grew, so did their ambition, and the brothers set out to establish a city of their own. However, fate had its own design, and a bitter quarrel led Romulus to slay his brother Remus. Romulus then founded the city that would bear his name, Rome, on the Palatine Hill, marking the beginning of the Roman kingdom around 753 BCE. This kingdom, though steeped in legend, laid the foundations for what would become a republic. The transition was sparked by the last king's tyranny, which led to his overthrow and the establishment of the Roman Republic in 509 BCE. This new government was a bold experiment, replacing monarchy with a republic, a state in which magistrates were elected and the Senate held advisory power. The republic would endure for centuries, becoming a crucible for governance and conquest, setting the stage for the empire that would follow. Before we talk about the might and splendor of the Roman Empire, it's essential to understand the political scaffolding that held up the republic. The governance of the Roman Republic was a complex interplay of democracy, aristocracy, and monarchy, encapsulated in institutions that have influenced civilizations for centuries. At the heart of the republic stood the Senate, a body of lifelong members, primarily from Rome's patrician class, who wielded significant influence over foreign and financial policies. The Senate's authority was not absolute, however. It worked in tandem with a variety of popular assemblies, which represented the voice of the Roman citizens. The most prominent of these assemblies were the Centuriate Assembly, which elected the highest magistrates and passed laws, and the Tribal Assembly, which elected lower magistrates and also had legislative powers. These assemblies were the bedrock of the Republic's democratic element, allowing citizens to vote directly on matters of state. As Rome expanded during the Republic era, it encountered and often clashed with other powers in the Mediterranean. The most notable of these conflicts were the Punic Wars, a series of 3 brutal wars against Carthage, which lasted over a century and ultimately led to Rome's dominance over the Mediterranean. The wars were marked by legendary figures and battles, including Hannibal's crossing of the Alps and the decisive Battle of Zama. This period of expansion was not just about military conquest. It was also a time of cultural assimilation and political integration, which saw Rome grow from a city-state to a sprawling republic, setting the stage for an empire that would last for centuries. Before we talk about the zenith of Roman power, let's rewind to a time of strife and transformation that paved the way for the birth of an empire. The Roman Republic, once a beacon of democratic governance, began to crumble under the weight of its own success. Civil unrest festered as the gap between the rich and poor widened, and the military became a political tool in the hands of ambitious leaders. The stage was set for a leader to emerge from the chaos, and that leader was Julius Caesar. A military genius and charismatic politician, Caesar expanded Rome's territories and filled its coffers with the spoils of the Gallic Wars. but his rising power threatened the status quo, leading to a fateful standoff with the Senate and his former ally Pompey. The ensuing civil war saw Caesar's legions clash with the forces of the Republic in a series of battles across the Mediterranean world. From the crossing of the Rubicon to the decisive victory at Pharsalus, Caesar's military prowess was unmatched. His triumphs not only secured his place at the helm of the Republic, but also signaled the end of the Roman Republic as it had been known. In the aftermath, the Senate, desperate to restore order, bestowed upon Caesar the title of Dictator Perpetuo, dictator in perpetuity. But the Republic's fate was sealed on the Ides of March 44 BC, when Caesar was assassinated, leaving a power vacuum that would be filled by his adopted heir, Octavian. Octavian, later known as Augustus, maneuvered through the complex political landscape with a blend of diplomacy, military might, and sheer will. The final nail in the Republic's coffin was hammered in when Augustus defeated Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium. In 27 BC, the Senate awarded him the title of Augustus, marking the end of the Republic and the rise of the Roman Empire. This transition was not merely a change of rulers, but a transformation of the Roman state itself, setting the stage for an era of imperial glory that would endure for centuries to come. Before we talk about the tumultuous events that would later shake the Roman world, let's bask in the golden era known as the Pax Romana. This period, ushered in by Augustus after years of civil war, was marked by an unprecedented peace and stability that lasted from 27 BC to 180 AD. It was a time when swords were beaten into plowshares, and the Roman legions, which had once marched through the lands as conquerors, now stood as guardians of peace. Under the wise rule of Augustus and his successors, the empire flourished. The borders were secured, and internal strife gave way to a blossoming of culture and prosperity. The Pax Romana saw the Roman Empire reach its greatest territorial extent, and its population swelled to an estimated 70 million people, making up about a third of the world's population at the time. Culturally, the Pax Romana was a renaissance of arts and literature. It was the Silver Age of Latin literature, with poets like Virgil, Ovid, and Horace crafting works that remain cornerstones of Western literature. Philosophy and the arts thrived, with the works of Seneca and others leaving a lasting impact on Western thought. Architecturally, the empire witnessed the construction of some of Rome's most iconic structures. The Colosseum, the Pantheon with its vast dome, and the sprawling network of aqueducts stand as testaments to the architectural ingenuity of the Romans. These structures were not just feats of engineering, they were symbols of Rome's power and cultural sophistication. The Pax Romana was not merely a pause in conflict. It was a proactive cultivation of governance, culture, and architecture that would define the Roman Empire for centuries to come. Before we talk about the ultimate fate of the Roman Empire, it is crucial to understand the period of profound instability known as the crisis of the 3rd century. This era, stretching from 235 to 285 AD, saw the empire teeter on the brink of collapse under the pressures of internal strife, economic turmoil, and external threats. The empire splintered into 3 separate entities: the Gallic Empire, the Roman Empire, and the Palmyrene Empire, each vying for dominance in a world where the rule of Rome was no longer absolute. The crisis began with the assassination of Emperor Severus Alexander, which unleashed a torrent of civil wars, barbarian invasions, and economic collapse. The currency was debased, and the plague further exacerbated the empire's woes. It was a time when the very fabric of Roman society was put to the test. Emerging from this chaos were 2 figures whose reforms would set the course for the empire's future: Diocletian and Constantine I. Diocletian, recognizing the unwieldy nature of governing the vast empire, introduced the Tetrarchy, dividing power among 4 rulers to better manage the sprawling territories and myriad challenges they faced. He also restructured the army and administration, setting the groundwork for a more centralized and absolute monarchy. Constantine I, on the other hand, would take a different path. He ended the Tetrarchy and established a new system of dynastic succession. His most enduring reform was the foundation of a new capital, Constantinople, on the site of ancient Byzantium in 330 AD. This city would become the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire and stand as a bastion of Roman culture and power for over a millennium. These reforms by Diocletian and Constantine I did not merely address the immediate crises. They reshaped the Roman Empire, setting it on a path that would lead to a division between East and West, a division that would endure until the empire's final days. Before we talk about the enduring legacy of the Roman civilization, it's imperative to recount the twilight years of the Western Empire. The decline was a gradual erosion of strength, marked by economic troubles, relentless invasions, and pervasive internal strife. The economy, once the backbone of Roman prosperity, was crippled by severe inflation, a devalued currency, and a taxation system that could no longer sustain the empire's needs. The invasions were a relentless tide, with barbarian tribes breaching Rome's borders, driven by their own displacement and Rome's perceived weakness. These incursions were not just military defeats, they symbolized the crumbling of Roman authority and the loss of vast territories that had once been the empire's heartlands. Internally, the empire was torn apart by political strife. Generals vied for power, emperors were mere puppets, and the Senate's authority waned. The division between the Western and Eastern empires exacerbated these issues, with the wealthier East often unwilling or unable to assist its beleaguered counterpart. The final act came with the abdication of Romulus Augustulus in 476 AD, a boy emperor, a mere shadow of the rulers who had once commanded the ancient world. His fall marked the end of the Western Roman Empire, but it was not the end of Rome's influence. The Eastern Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, survived, preserving Roman heritage and continuing its legacy for a millennium. As our journey through the annals of the Roman Empire comes to a close, we are left to ponder the indelible marks it has left on our world. The principles of Roman law underpin many modern legal systems. Their concepts of citizenship and governance still resonate in today's political discourse, and their architectural prowess continues to inspire awe and wonder. The Roman Empire's influence extends beyond the tangible. It is woven into the cultural and intellectual fabric of Western civilization. From language to philosophy, from engineering to art, the legacy of Rome is as enduring as the stones of the Colosseum. So we must ask ourselves, what can we learn from Rome's story? How does the rise and fall of this ancient empire mirror our own society's triumphs and tribulations? If you enjoyed this voyage back in time and wish to embark on more historical adventures, please like this video and subscribe to Historic Guru. Your support fuels our quest to bring history to life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, history is not just about the past, it's a conversation with our present.